Boo, y'all, and happy Friday the 13th. Tonight I'm joining up with some of my favorite crafty buddies to share a compilation of Friday the 13th themed Halloween projects. I'm going to show you how to make this fun and cute Halloween sign. The cut file I'm using is from Printable Cuttable Creatables. I'll share a link in the video description along with the link to all the other amazing projects you're going to want to check out tonight. Now I am cutting the design out from 3mm basswood using my X Tool S1 20 watt. Don't worry if you don't have a laser cutter, you could do this with your other cutting machines. You could use cardstock to create the same kind of sign. I know some of like Cricut, and I think some others can also cut thinner woods. So that's always an option once you get this SVG, import it into your design studio and then start cutting. For a backdrop, I am reusing this palette from Walnut Hollow. When I used it before, it was black and white, which is actually kind of perfect for Beetlejuice, right? But for this project, I wanted a rustic looking background, and I thought this blue chalk paint reminded me of denim, which when I think cowboys, I think of jeans and boots, right? So a bluish background that reminds me of both denim jeans and the night sky is perfect for this. I'm going with chalk paint to create that rustic look, but also because I love that you don't have to prime or do anything when you use chalk paint. Just put it right on your surface and it looks great. So I'm going to paint this whole background and fill in those little gaps in the middle and the sides before moving on to my next step, filling in all the pieces with the corresponding colors. I like to sort the wood by color. So here I've got like everything that's going to get painted white, and then next to it is what's going to be a different color. And that way I can just move through each color and fill each section in. So again, I'm using chalk paint to create that rustic look, which seems appropriate for a cowboy ghost. And I'm just going to paint that all in, let it dry, and then move on to the next color. I don't know if you do this too, but many times I really struggle to start a project because I can't figure out which colors I want to use. Like, do I want to go with classic, rustic? So with this one, I was actually inspired by candy corn. I thought that would be perfect for a friendly little ghost, and it's just a classic Halloween color scheme. So I grabbed orange and yellow paint. I didn't have chalk paint in those colors, but I did have matte paint, which is going to help me maintain that rustic look. So I decided what was going to be orange, what was going to be yellow, and then when I put this next to that white ghost, you'll definitely see that candy corn inspired color palette, which I'm really happy I went with. I only ended up needing one application of paint with each of these colors, which helped move the project along really quickly. As I mentioned before, I like to work one color at a time and then move on to the next set. So here I am using another chalk paint in a color called Elephant. And I liked this one because it's a very dark, almost black color, but it's not as stark as just using a matte black. And again, I'm trying to create that rustic look, so I felt like this color really helped keep that Old West kind of look. Once everything is dry, I can start assembling my cute little cowboy ghost. What I like to do when I am gluing these pieces together is to put a couple of dots of glue inside the main piece so that when I set in the smaller piece, that glue gets pushed out the back. If I were to put the glue like around that eye, when I slide it in there, the glue gets pushed up to the surface. And then even when you wipe it off, it leaves like a little sheen. And that destroys that matte effect that I'm trying to create with the chalk paint. So this way I can glue it together while avoiding getting glue on the front of the project. I really should have put wax paper behind this because the glue does get pushed to the back and parts of my ghost did get glued to that paper bag that I'm using to protect my work surface. But luckily, no one's going to see the back of my project, and I could just kind of rip the bag off. So it wasn't that big of a deal. So I'm going to continue gluing all these little pieces in, and then I'm going to take my matte varnish and very lightly paint over the surface. This is going to help fill in any little gaps, and it kind of acts like a glue to hold everything together. Once that varnish is completely dry, I'm going to use a wood glue on the back of each piece, set it on my wood palette, and while it dries, I like to put something heavy on top to weigh it down. And there he is, the cutest little ghost you ever did see. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the rest of the fun projects on this Friday the 13th. Bye, y'all.